The construction sector is significant all around the world. The construction industry is broadly characterized as an economic sector. In Malaysia, the construction industry is one of the first sectors of the national economy. Malaysian construction industry employ 1.2 million people, accounting for 9.5% of the total workforce. According to the Global Data website, the construction industry in Malaysia is predicted to increase by 3.5% in real term in 2023. The current growth rate is predicted to continue during the projection period, with a CAGR of 5.9% from 2022 to 2026. Construction is a high-risk sector that includes many different tasks such as planning, designing, building, altering, maintaining, repairing, and finally demolishing structure. Contractors include the subcontractor should be able to comprehend, assess, mitigate such as risks whenever feasible.
First is fire risk. A fire risk assessment evaluates or examines fire hazard and measures to protect against fire. It also involves preparation to ensure the safety of those at risk. In the ideal scenarios, employee, site manager, and safety official works together to develop efficient fire safety programs based on risk assessment for fire. The possibility of development is influenced by several aspects, not the least of which is when the fire may go on to burn before it is noticed and before the fire could threaten the means to escape. Factors like the construction of building and the contents also influence this. Causes of fire risk. First, electrical problem. Electrical problems are among the leading causes of workplace fires. This issue can occur in any industry and result in significant damage, injuries, and even fatalities. Second is smoking materials. Improper use and disposal of smoking materials such as cigarettes, cigar, and e-cigarettes are leading causes of construction fire. Third is human error. Human error is often a contributing factor in construction fires. Mistake or oversight can lead to dangerous situations and increase the risk of fire. Next is effect of fire risk. First, loss of productivity. A loss of productivity is another significant consequence of fire. After a fire, employees may need to spend time cleaning up and repairing the damage caused by the fire, which can take away from their regular work duty. Additionally, there may be insurance claims to file and paperwork to complete, which can be time-consuming and further disrupt the workday. Second is financial loss. Repairing and replacing damaged equipment, materials, and property can add up quickly and significantly impact a business's finance. In addition, the business may experience a loss of revenue due to the interruption of normal operation or the need to close temporarily. This can be particularly difficult for businesses that may not have the financial resource to absorb the cost of construction fire. Third is property damage. Fire can cause significant damage to property including building, vehicles, and personal belongings. The damage can be particularly severe in the workplace because of valuable equipment, inventory, and important documents. Based on fire risk analysis, we can conclude that the severity of the fire risk is catastrophic, which is 5, and the likelihood category is 4. According to the causes and effects of fire risk, we can do a continuously review it to ensure fire risk continue to be adequately managed. Regular inspection should be carried out to ensure that fire control remain adequate and are implemented correctly. Regular checks should also be made of call points, detectors, sounders, firefighting equipment, and emergency lighting. It is vitally important that existing risk assessment policies, procedures, and training are reviewed immediately after a real fire. Based on the risk category, it's extremely high, which is 20. The manager employee need to do immediate action to prevent this risk. The next stage is to evaluate the fire risk. A fire risk is the likelihood that a fire will occur as a result of fire hazard and the extent and severity of the damage which may be caused. From this, it will be possible to determine what, if any, measures are needed for the control of the hazard and ensuring risk. The main factor affecting severity are the potential for the development of a fire and the number of people who could be harmed. The potential for ignition is main factor affecting likelihood.
My name is SITI KHAIRUL, and now I am going to explain the risk identification for our second risk, that is theft and burglary. In this risk identification, I am going to explain all the causes and effects on theft and burglary in the construction industry. So, there is a serious risk of theft and burglary in this construction sector, and its causes and effects can have an influence on both projects and businesses. Construction sites are appealing targets for criminals because they contain valuable assets including machinery, tools, and supplies. Theft opportunities are created by inadequate security measures like poor fence or insufficient lighting. The risk is also increased by convenient access to construction sites and remote regions. The theft and burglary impact on the building sector are significant. The value of stolen property, the cost of repairs or replacement, and potential project delays or result in financial losses. These delays can interfere with project schedules and contractual responsibilities, which has an effect on production as a whole. As a further factor in rising expenses, repeated theft events may result in higher insurance premiums. When thieves tamper with structures or equipment, there are safety issues that could put workers in danger. Construction firms may lose customers, investors, and stakeholders' trust as a result of a deteriorating reputation. If stolen supplies are replaced with inferior ones, the quality of the project may be compromised. Additionally, businesses might have to spend more money to deploy security measures, which would raise expenses. Construction organizations should put a high priority on strong security measures, personnel training, and regular risk assessment to reduce these hazards. The use of precautions, including updating site fence, engaging security workers, and setting up surveillance systems, can deter theft and burglary. Site security is improved by teaching personnel to spot and report questionable activity. Regular risk assessments assist in locating weak points and putting in place the necessary protections. To protect assets, keep projects on schedule and on schedule, and ensure worker safety, the construction sector must address the risk of theft and burglary. And construction organizations can lessen the effects of theft and burglary events and improve a culture of awareness by implementing proactive security measures and establishing a safe working environment on construction sites. Okay, now as for the risk analysis for the second risk, that is theft and burglary, the danger of theft and burglary is high in the construction sector, both in terms of likelihood and severity. For likelihood, the thieves are drawn to construction sites because they contain valuable equipment and supplies, making them a prime candidates for theft and break-ins. The possibility can be scored as a 4, whereas 1 is low and 5 is high on the scale of 1 to 5.
As for the severity, although theft and burglary in the building sector can lead to monetary losses, project delays and disruptions, they are normally not catastrophic or life-threatening occurrences. So the severity can be assessed as 3, with 1 being low and 5 being high on the scale of 1 to 5. So to effectively manage this risk, construction businesses must put in place the necessary security safeguards and preventive measures. Companies can safeguard their assets, reduce financial losses, and guarantee successful project execution by taking measures to address the likelihood and severity of theft and burglary. So for the risk evaluation on theft and burglary, implementing strategies to lower the probability of theft and burglary incidents is the main goal of prevention. So, construction sites can proactively reduce the risk of theft and burglary by putting in place strong security measures such as surveillance cameras, access restrictions, enough lighting, secure storage places, and employee training programs. This plan attempts to discourage possible criminals, improve site security, and produce a secure workplace. Prevention not only lowers the likelihood of theft and robbery, but also fosters a security-conscious culture among staff members and subcontractors. Construction sites can efficiently minimize the risk of theft and burglary, safeguard priceless assets, maintain project timetables, and safeguard the general well-being of workers by taking precautionary steps in order to improve operations in the future. With regard to theft and burglary in the construction sector, prevention is the advised risk management method. Thank you.
The second release is property risk of vulnerability to damage. It caused by natural disaster, vandalism, construction materials and method, also lack of maintenance. The effect of property risk can be financial loss, disrupt of daily life and business operation, lack of safety, and it become a bad reputation for the building or company that manage the construction site. For the risk identification, we can identify the possibility to occur numerous fatalities, possibility to have vandalism in property. For example, if the property or building not maintained properly based on scheduled daily maintenance, it will be effect and give for example vandalism because of no one take care their buildings. Lack of safety, for example, if the lift not proper maintenance, it will be lack of safety about the lift. It will be affect the financial loss. For example, if the building not proper maintenance, it be loss for financial. For example, for case Highland Tower, because of the Highland Tower collapse and the property around here not used anymore until now, it will be financial loss for the individual or company that build Highland Tower. Based on data and historical data from outsourced, we can analyze the property risk of vulnerability to damage is severity is 5, which is higher, is called catastrophic. If the accident happen on property, it can cause property damage and numerous fatalities in the buildings. For example, we can take a case Highland Tower collapse. The likelihood category is 3 conceivable event that might be occur sometime in future. As we know, all the property and building is have a warranty almost 5 to 10 years for structure of building. So maybe for now we can say the normal structure failure because the warranty more 5 to 10 years, and after the 10 years we can see the wall is breaking and can be affect the financial loss after 10 years you buy the property. We can analyze that lack of maintenance and not using proper method and material when built any property can affect the safety of building, can cause financial loss because of damage such as vandalism, and will be affect the reputation of contractor or company that built the property. If the building not proper maintained and can be vandalism so many places, and when the vandalism occur in a building, it will be viral and will be affect the property or company that maintain the whole property. For the risk evaluation, we can see the risk is 15, which is higher and require immediate action to control the hazard as detailed in the hierarchy of control. When a risk cannot be avoided, the frequency and severity of losses can be minimized. For example, if the property maintains followed by those requirements, it can be minimized the likelihood and severity of property risk. The requirement for property insurance is mandatory to all individual and company when buying a property to avoid the financial loss in the future. For example, if you want to buy you want to build any property in the Highland, you need to study the requirement by DOSH, requirement by construction line, to avoid this accident happen. So you need to study the method or material that be used to the build property in the Highland. Is this method is up to date? Is it the material concrete is strong enough for the property in the Highland, to avoid all accident happen in a future. For natural disaster, we cannot avoid this happen, but we can prevent from this accident is happen by using by using a method or requirement from DOSH and construction line to build any property to avoid from financial loss.
Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. I will continue present about my point, which is unsafety building design. Unsafety building design can happen for a number of causes and have an effect on us. Any building or structure that is dangerous is one that could harm its residents or bystander in the present or in the future due to its poor structure state. There are several of causes that the buildings designed in unsafety to occupy, such as walls that are at risk of cracking, stairs that are poorly made, subsurface problems, roof defects, and parts of components that have already failed, like coping stones that have come loose and either fallen to the ground before or appear to be about to do so. Besides that, deficit roof can harm people inside worker on the project, and in some cases can render your home unlivable. Walls and floors can become cracked and damaged as a result of poor foundation design and construction. In extreme case, poor foundations can trigger landslide that are fatal. In buildings can face issue like in currently settling to the ground, structure move or shifting or flooding if the ground surface are not properly compact and set up for adequate dryness. Therefore, unsafe building run the risiko of injury construction workers, passerby, and in some case, rendering your building unlivable. The risk analysis. After conducting an analysis of the risk, it was determined that the likelihood on the unsafe building design occurring was high, which is 4, and its severity was very high, which is 5, the highest risk category. Based on Orbinar 2020, the risk analysis, it is clearly that use subpar buildings materials and overloading in a structure can exhaust the safety factors that are used in the design, increasing the likelihood that the structure will soon break down. Last but not least, knowing the potential cause of safety incident in your building will help you figure out what precautions you have in place to stop them, lessen their severity. Review the currently control measure after determining the severity and likelihood of problems. Next is the risk evaluation. If the company follow the guidelines established for the construction industry and no accidents or injury happen in the building, and unsafety building design can be avoided in case. According result for Andoni 2022, with some risk cannot be avoided, others can be reduced with careful project bidding or changes to the scope of work. Unsafe building design are categorized right in the catastrophic section of the risk assessment as having the potential to result in injury or even death. However, based on Andoni 2022, it can be avoided by developing a construction strategy that can lessen the danger and the detrimental effect on user. Then you can control your probability for avoidable delays and financial losses by recognizing all the relevant hazards that relate to the design of your project and to the successful completion of the design. That's all for me.
What is RISKMAX? A risk matrix is a metric that is used during a risk assessment to define the level of risk by considering the category of probability or likelihood against the category of consequence severity. This is a simple mechanism to increase visibility of risk and assist management decision making. Likelihood on a risk matrix represents the likelihood of the most likely consequence occurring in the event of hazard occurrence. To put it another way, if a hazard occurs, what are the chances the most likely safety mishap will occur? As we can see in the table likelihood, green colors stand for rating 1 until 3. Yellow colors stand for rating 4 until 6. Orange colors stand for rating 8 until 12. And lastly, red colors stand for rating 15 until 25. To get the likelihood rating result, you must calculate likelihood times by consequences. First, we go for the fire risk. In the table shows, the likelihood for fire risk rating is 4, which is in a high risk, but the severity is 5, which is in an extreme risk. So, 4 times by 5 equal to 20, which means the rating 15 to 25 is a red color because it is extreme risk that will occur major loss of property or major loss of life. Second, we go for the theft and burglary. In the table shows the likelihood for the theft and burglary risk rating is 4, which is in a high risk, but the severity is 3, which is in a moderate risk. So, 4 times by 3 is equal to 12, which means that rating 8 until 12 is a orange color because it is moderate risk that will occur large scale damage to property. Third, we go for property risk of vulnerability to damage. In the table shows the likelihood for property risk of vulnerability to damage risk rating is 3, which is in a moderate risk, but the severity in 5, which is in an extreme risk. So 3 times by 5 is equal to 15, which means that rating 15 to 25 is a red color because it is extreme that will occur major loss of property or major loss of life. Lastly, we go for unsafe building design. In the table shows the likelihood for unsafe building design risk rating is 4, which is in a high risk, but the severity is 5, which is in an extreme risk. So 4 times by 5 is equal to 20, which that rating 15 to 25 is a red color because it is in an extreme risk that will occur major loss of property or major loss of life. Severity. Severity describes the highest level of damage possible when an accident occurs from particular hazard. Damage can be low, moderate, high, or extreme. Green color is a low severity, which means slight damage to property, minor injury to occupants, first aid required. Second is yellow color. Yellow color is a moderate severity, which means moderate damage to property, partial evacuation required, injury to occupants, medical attention required. Third, orange color is a high severity, which means large scale damage to property, complete evacuation required, occupants require hospitalization. Last, red color is an extreme severity, which means major loss of property, major loss of life.
There are numerous conclusions made on risk management strategy for construction industry, particularly after completing literature study and complying data from a survey. This technique have been deemed the best practice for lowering and minimizing hazard on construction industry. So first is a fire risk. Architect and designer must consider a flammability of the material to be used during construction, the fire resistant capability and duration of this material, the versatility of the ceiling material used in opening and other structure within the outside and inside the building, and the organization and arrangement of escape routes inside the building at all the time. Make sure the construction site has enough fire extinguisher to keep flame from spreading. If an unintentional fire starts, a properly utilized fire extinguisher can put it out. To guarantee that the fire extinguisher always performs flawlessly, they must be approved and frequently maintained by specialists that undertake the fire extinguisher testing. Second is burglary or theft risk. Alarm can be used to increase a site security with or without camera and tracking device. Another emerging technology that is in use in geofencing. A visual invisible electronic fence may be built around building site using geofencing. Create a policy to avoid theft and make sure that all worker and contractor are informed of the guideline and penalty for theft. This might involve removing scrap material for one own use or for sale, as well as borrowing tools for use and after hour or site tasks. Establish a zero tolerance policy for violator and warn staff member and a contractor that you will pursue legal action if they are found. Third is a property risk. Contact your insurance provider if your business building is vacant to find out how your policy handles vacant properties and what your liabilities exposure is for anybody hurt while on your vacant property. If something should happen, modifying insurance policy are necessary can assist reduce any possible expenses or liabilities. An important component of owning and managing real estate is managing property risk. For the investment to be protected, law and regulation to be followed, tenant to be satisfied, and a good reputation to be upheld, it is essential to recognize potential risks associated with a property, to evaluate their impact and likelihood, and put the risk management strategy into a practice. Last but not least is unsafe building design. When specifying the design of a building or structure, the designer should be considered how the building or structure can be safe to build, clean, maintain, or demolish. He must thus evaluate the design and consider the danger to individual carrying out the planned works as well as anyone impacted by it, such as a general public or future user of the building or structure. A qualified designer should consequently have the essential credential required by a professional engineer board or the board of architects, as well as experience in safety and health. Taking precautions such as improving indoor air quality, electrical safety, fall protection, ergonomic, and accidents avoidance. The selection of a takafu, and first is a general takafu. General liability insurance covers a company for a physical harm, personal injury, and a property damage caused by the company activities, goods, or injury that occur the company premises. Although commercial general liability is considered comprehensive business insurance, it may not cover all hazards that a company may encounter. Second is employer liabilities. Workers who have sustained a sickness or injury at work but are not eligible for worker compensation may file claim with employer liability insurance. It is a sort of liability insurance and may be combined with a worker compensations for future shield business from the expenses related to the accidents, illness, and fatality at the job. Employer liability insurance, however, does not cover legal fees incurred as a result of employee claim alleging discrimination, sexual harassment, and a wrongful termination. Third is a contractor all risk. Contractor all risk is one of the most well-known insurance policy used in a construction contract. It is a short-term insurance coverage that covers the construction contract work. Furthermore, construction all risk takafu are specifically created to cover engineering projects involve both building and other ongoing civil building engineering activities. Etika and Zurich is the one of the companies that provide contractor all risk takafu in their service. The Malaysia Economic Report 2015 estimates that Malaysia construction industry contribute about 8% of the country's GDP in 2015. As a result, construction-related activities are common, which increase the risk of loss and damage they may cause. General liability insurance covers property damage, bodily harm, and personal injury. All of them are third-party damage and injury, and they are all linked to the real job that's been done. Contractor or risk insurance policy differ, but in the general, they are meant to protect against damage caused by external factors. This can include things like the natural climate as much as intentional damage by weather, gas explosion, fire, vandalism, theft, and other natural factors like flooding, earthquake may or may not be covered. Contractor or risk coverage is more restrictive and only lasts until the project is finished, the property is sold, or the owner moves in, whereas the general liability might cover you for property damage even after the job is finished. To improve the product, its construction industry or company must widely promote the benefit of acquiring a contractor or risk policy such as extensive coverage, enhanced peace of mind, and can increase the business potential. According to Muhammad Fauzi and ABDUL in 2012, only 69% of Muslim contractors have experience acquiring contractor or risk takaful for building work contract, and 6% of respondents will consider only if the cost will not have an impact on the insured.
For conclusion, a construction risk assessment helps determine which parties are at risk, create awareness of existing risks on site, assess current loss prevention measures in place, ensure contractual requirements are upheld, and decide whether additional controls need to be instituted. A proper risk assessment is essential to prevent accidents at work, reduce injuries, and even save lives at work. By highlighting specific hazards and potential threats, risk assessment help generate appropriate awareness of them among employees and managers. Secondly, construction companies must have takaful or insurance product to increase safety and well-being of workers, improve company reputation, and avoid costs associated with workplace accident. Last but not least, the reason why construction workers need takaful and insurance product is because the risk of bodily injury and physical damage to property is higher in construction work than in other industries. General liability should be an important part of your construction insurance coverage.